You start. You're the best. Oh, we both did the spear fingers this time.
We don't do spear fingers this time. There you go. And you're making everyone's JMO's not saying this, but he is making fun of me with his glasses. He wants to mock me, which is fine. Just kidding. It is the AI. You what?
I said I need to feel like I fit in. You know, I just got to feel like I'm here for the vibe, like you, my friend. So.
I got this totally for the vibe. I have no other reason, but like my eyes were hurting all day long. I had nothing like that going on. So, yeah, it was awesome. Well, this is the AI Business Network podcast. We're on, I don't even know, on 11, 12, something like that.
14,
so
man.
For a while. 14? Wow, that's crazy. So, really glad to be here. This is my man, JMO. I am Coach. And every week we go into how is AI impacting not just go-to-market, but across the entire business spectrum from finance, HR, building maintenance, whatever is going on, whatever's happening in the business world in AI, because you and I obviously talk to people about it all day, every day, all the time. So first off, how are you, dude? Good to see you again.
Living my best life. Good to see you as well, my friend. Yeah, and
I gotta give you a chance. I gotta give you a chance to say your thing. Living my best life.
Yeah. Living my best life, brother. Every day. Every day.
I love it. What were you say?
I was gonna say now I got to figure out this whole building maintenance thing. So we're gonna have to do a whole pod on that. Like that's a good one.
Just came to mind. I picked something random, but I like it. What we got cooking? So you, as per usual, JMO is the more prepared of the two of us. Likes to schedule. He is the RevOps guy. I'm more of the enablement training guy. So he is prepared with lots of topics. What do we got cooking?
All right. So are you basically saying you just fly by the seat of your pants? That's what enablement does? Is that what you're saying? Okay. All right. Just kidding. Let's get it. All right. I say
it's again mocking.
All right. If you can't tell, we love to have fun. All right. Let's jump in. Yeah. First off, I got to say we've had 2 newsletters since our last podcast. So if you haven't checked those out, go to gtmaipodcast.com. Some fire in there. I will say I really loved the AI agent battle royale. So there's some good stuff in there packed every week. Make sure you check it out. All right, let's dive into it. So we're going to talk about 2. The last, 2 of our topics are from the last 2 newsletters. So first, you did a pod with Lisa Adams. So Lisa is kind of rethinking marketing with AI. So she's a friend of ours, similar to like Sam Altman and Mark Benioff and those. So we put her in the same kind of realm as those.
We put her in the same category. There you go, Lisa. Shout out, Lisa.
So anyway, I think she's onto something, which is really great. So her perspective on AI is really a thought partner, not just a content generator. And some of the takeaways that I took away, and her and you've had a lot of these conversations, which is thinking of AI as a teammate. She's actually put together an interesting org chart that kind of showcases what like a future marketing org could look like with a mix of human and AI agents, or even GPTs, because you can do some things with GPTs. She really talks about kind of this 0-click search that's coming. Really kind of how SEO is changing. I know, you kind of showed me some secret sauce of some things that you're doing there, which is really cool. But ultimately, the world of the internet is changing, and you're having to really think about the content you put out and who's reading it. Is a human reading it, or is AI? So we talked a little bit about that. And then she talked about some tools, we don't talk a lot about, which we should probably talk about more around Notebook LM. I know we both use that, and then Napkin as well. I think Napkin's underrated. Both of them really kind of are underrated in regards to the publicity.
Ooh, I got access to video overviews for you. I'm going to totally show you what I did. It took 5 hours to get a video overview, but I got it, and we can show it live, which is cool.
5 hours? Oh, I can't wait to see
5 hours.
I can't wait to see it. So
we'll get there.
Let's do it. So what I would love to hear from you is like just kind of your thinking from your conversation with her. Like, is it time to start putting an org chart together with AI? How are you thinking about that? And then just anything in the realm of the SEO. So we want to unpack that. But first, let's start with the org chart. So what are you thinking? Is it time, or are we still a little, or is this kind of still something that we just need to think about and figure out how do we work ourselves there?
Great question. I'm going to go to this actually real fast because I think it'd be good for the context of the discussion to show what we're actually talking about. So let's go to our lovely little thing right here, which is her own image. See that? Okay, hopefully. There we go.
Yep.
So here's her image. She totally made this. If you don't follow her, she's awesome to follow. So I'd recommend following her. But she just talks about how you have these categories, obviously marketing, having product marketing, brand and content, demand gen, and then digital marketing. And underneath this, you have a mix between people, obviously humans. And then what she has is her GPT list of people, or I should say GPTs, who are doing certain tasks or functions. So now you can actually see the visual if you're not, watching not watching screen because you're listening. What it basically is that she has a regular org chart, which is mixing both humans with the tasks of what AI agents can do or GPTs can do with like a marketing analyzer or a deck creator or something like that. So I don't know if, like, I love the concept because it's very practical and helps you kind of understand like what responsibilities a role has, even if that role is filled by an AI versus a human. Um, I don't know if a org chart's the best way to think about it. I'm not saying she's wrong. I've been thinking about this a lot, going, okay, is organizational chart the right way to go? Is more of like outcome chart? I don't know if that's the right word for it. It just feels like it's more like the jobs to be done, the tasks, which this org chart is just one way to help conceptualize it, which I love. Like, I love that you did this, because when I show this to people, like, oh, that makes so much more sense, because you have these tasks, many tasks you would have hired someone out for in the past, but now you can make a GPT for. So I think it's also helpful too from an enablement point of view of, like, if I had a new person come on and when I was trying to enable them, I'd be basically saying, here's how we do things in our team. Like, for this, you go to the Slack channel, for this, you go to here, for this, you go to GPT, whatever the thing is, so it kind of becomes a part of the process, which I did in my last team. I had a back before in GPT 3.5 first launched, and I was enabling the team on it. I had a prompt library, and all of them were broken down by the outcome. Like, here's the discovery prep call prompt, here's this call prompt. And then when GPTs came out, did the same thing, but it was by GPTs that all had access to. So I love the things she had. What do you think? It should be outcome based, org chart. What do you think?
Yeah. So I think, so my opinion is, so here's the thing. I think that, I think, I don't know, but the way that I would approach it from Lisa's perspective is, I think you're starting with where people are today. And, people understand, to your point, they understand an org chart. And they understand that's kind of, a good visual that you have. And so I do agree with you there. I don't think, though, that it is the right place as far as the way to think about it, because I think more in regards to, that's kind of trying to fit AI into something that into some sort of structure that we've already created before AI. I think of AI more of like you can kind of consider, I think someone called it this, and sorry, I can't give you credit, but I read this not too long ago, around like an orchestration graph. And so instead of it being just a hierarchy, you got to think about how does AI orchestrate across many different teams? Because what you do with an org chart is you're still siloing things. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to silo things, and AI can really help us to unsilo the silos that we have in a lot of ways if you use it correctly. And so I do think if you start with, I think it's fine for now to start with it where people are today, because they can kind of get a good understanding. But I do think the way that you implement it, to your point, and we'll talk about implementation, it's actually one of the topics today, is is more of the jobs to be done, the outcome based, and then thinking about how does it orchestrate across all the teams, or the teams that jobs to be done or outcome needs to touch, versus it just being stuck in an organization. So that would be my take on it.
I like it. Yeah, it's I've been thinking about this a lot. When you think about AI, you have to kind of start with where you are, with what is possible. Like, with the research we've done with Momentum shows that people are barely even scratching the surface with operationally including AI. And you can't go from like, it's kind of like trying to go from zero to AI agent. You're skipping over prompting. It's going to be difficult to get there because you don't understand prompting. It's kind of the same thing, whereas you can't just skip over stuff we don't have the foundational pieces. And I like your thought around thinking about, do we do the past world doing what we've always done, better, faster, easier, cheaper, or do we think of something new? Is it something we can do because of the capabilities there, which I love, so I love it. I love you have a spicy take. I love the spicy take.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, because I think you lose a lot of the capabilities if and we're seeing this now with like the whole bolt-on versus native. There's this big
Yep.
trend around SaaS native versus AI native, or bolt-on AI versus AI as kind of your native system. And I think it's important that there's two trains of thoughts here. One is, if I'm a legacy business and I've got all this operational and tech debt, I've got to figure out how to start making my way towards AI as an AI first system or AI native system, whatever you call it. Because if not, I'm going to be completely outmanned, outproduced, out everything by that team's half or even 10x less my size. And I have to think of that as a real threat and understand that. And so I start making my way there. And so I think what it does is it allows us to reimagine things. And I think that's the most important thing. If you could take away one thing, is don't just bolt it into the way that you do things today. Take a second to also reimagine. The bolting may be to your point, it may be the right starting point, because that's what I can get done quickly and easily and start learning. But go in it with a mind of, how do I reimagine this workflow or reimagine this journey in the future? If I could rebuild it from scratch with AI, I think that's the most important thing. So,
well, it's kind of like when you and I both talked to Amos a couple weeks ago, and their structure is way different. They have an org chart of 3, and everything else is being done. So like they think about it from more of a jobs to be done outcome. He's like saying, I need these things done, and this is the agents that do these things, and I'm the one executing all of these. So I guess I like the way the org chart fits, but like to your point, it does mean there's going to be some natural silos as a result, which AI does better without without silos. So.
Well,
yeah,
you just said is interesting, because it's Amos's take on this, and I know we're kind of going this different direction, but I kind of like this conversation, because ultimately you hear a lot of people, and we just did a roundtable not too long ago over this topic, but you hear a lot of people are like, AI is going to replace everybody. Like, in the future, everybody's done, you're going to replace them, etc. And I think if you peel it back, I think there's some truth to that. Not everybody, by the way, that's not what I'm saying, but there's some truth that it's going to replace certain jobs to be done. And the question that you have to have is, should those jobs have been done by a person anyway, or did we just slot someone in there because we didn't have any other better way? And Amos's approach with Swan AI, so shout out to them, is that he's looking at it of like, how do I become 100 times more effective per person? And so taking that kind of approach of using AI to augment things that I can't do, or it can do a lot better than me. And I think that's what you're seeing. I was actually just listening to one of the podcasts that I listened to with it's called 20 VC, and they were really talking about this, to where from the engineering landscape of engineers being 100,000 times more productive. And I'm actually seeing this in my company right now, where they're with Cloud Code or these things, they're just becoming so much more productive, and almost to the point where spending $5, $6, $7 a month per person is better, because they can do an output of 3 or 4 people. So I think those are the real where we're really headed with this in the future. And so it's less about an org chart, I think, and more about how can I have those kind of AI agents augment me and help orchestrate things or take jobs to be done off my plate.
I had an interesting call with this. This is a long story. I'll give you a short version. Someone connected me with a guy who's doing a study for Salesforce. He's like one of the consultants for Mark. And I actually gave him some messages to give to Mark from you, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Mark, come on the pod anytime. Come on.
Mark, come hang it, Mark. We got some thoughts. Anyways, but he was saying, like, Mark said that they've cut half of the work being done is now by AI. Come to find out, he unveiled the little spiel that those half of license, what they did is they bought 1,600 licenses of Cursor, and so now their team's doing all this stuff, and so they are doing that technically by agents, but it sounds sexier than just buying licenses to a platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, which he's good at what he does with a PR perspective. No, he knows what he's doing.
But yeah, and I think you've got to cut through a lot of the noise, and I think that's one of the reasons why we do what we do in this show and other things, is cutting through the noise, because there's so much noise out there about like, AI is doom and gloom, it's going to take everyone's jobs, and then Microsoft or Google are laying off, but look, they're laying off because they were already overstaffed. They're not laying off because AI is just all of a sudden taking hundreds of thousands of jobs. They're laying off because they are already they hired too much through different years, different things, et cetera, or business priorities changed. That's a normal business thing. That's not like any different than any other time. It's just that it's good press and good headlines. And oh, by the way, those guys sell AI. So
by the way.
Oh, by the way. But interesting. So you mentioned something I do want to hit on. It's and it's really the kind of the title here. It's kind of interesting. You showcased a study, and I forget, you can tell me who it is. You can fill in the blanks here. But I think it was from McKinsey or someone around, was it 70% or 80% or something like that of people had implemented AI of organizations? What was the number?
Oh, you're talking about the momentum stuff I was showing you?
That study
according to McKinsey, they have this report saying 70% of people had implemented some form of AI, which to me, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that means Copilot or ChatGPT or something like that, because in Momentum, we did this analysis, to long story short, of 1,000+ people, I should say opportunities, from VPs all the way from people of 10 people companies up to 15,000. So we have this really good outlay of data. And our data shows that the teams who have actually operationalized effectively AI is like 7%, just based on the language and the questions they're asking and all this stuff in conversation. I was like, what? It makes sense, because I get the feeling that people feel like that they're behind everybody, like everyone else is ahead and I'm behind. The truth of the matter is everybody's behind, except for a very, very, very few. There's not very many, but those teams, like not that AIM is a massive team because he's like a newer team, but there are teams I know of who are decent sized teams who are like grabbing on AI agents and they're like accelerating. So it's like this speed between everyone in the past is like going like this, and it's going really fast because they're coding twice as fast as they used to do. They're automating things twice as fast. It's just crazy how quick it's going,
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think going to the transition around, cutting through the noise and so much media out there, you're right. It's like, oh, I see this number. Wow, 70+% are, have implemented AI and I'm behind. But really, no, another research report that we actually had in the newsletter was 92% are actually still stuck in like the very first stage of AI. So like, okay, great. I've given you a ChatGPT license, or maybe I've done one workflow, but that's very, very beginning, or maybe I've got a few pilots running. So I think it's important for everyone, get started, go through it. And I think one of the biggest things that, figure it out. And we'll talk a little bit about here in just a second. We'll close the show with implementation and some ways to do it effectively. But one of the things I think is important that people forget about is, while the tech is great and you can do wonders with it because it's so powerful. HubSpot actually has this challenge right now. So, or any CRM, Claude launched MCP, right? You can connect it to HubSpot, or ChatGPT. You can also connect to HubSpot. But guess what? It's only as useful as the data and infrastructure you have, and it's only as useful as the people using it. And so I think what we have to make sure of, and I love your perspective on this. You've got to make sure that you've got your data and infrastructure together to actually be useful, so the AI actually has context, because if the AI lacks context, it's just going to give you a bad output. And then you have to make sure that your people can actually use it effectively and want to use it, because if they're not getting if they don't know how to use it and they're not getting full value, you're just going to stay in phase one. So give us some pointers or some things you've thought about or you've seen around how to basically implement this effectively and kind of ensure that not only the people are aligned, but you got your right data processes in place too.
It's a good question. I think there's three. One is the foundation pieces you need for the AI. One is the foundation pieces you need for the humans, and then one is the foundation pieces for the both of them together. So you need like for humans, you understand like what's the change going to happen, what are you responsible for after the changes happen. AI side, you need to make sure you have the governance and data and security, all the other stuff, and both of them together is the how would you say, like things like sales process as an example. Like if I'm going to use OneMind and OneMind is going to start replacing part of my sales process, that shifts what the human's responsible for in the sales process. So I have my documentation clearly defined of like, it's kind of like a Rossi form where you're like saying, okay, AI is responsible for this, then humans over here, then AI does this here. It's like this kind of process, but unless you have that defined, which most people don't, even in massive orgs, it's not going to work, So it does take I call it the rubber band effect. It does take the unsexy work of doing the menial, what the heck is the 10 steps of our own sales process or our onboarding or whatever the heck it is, which fortunately AI can help with all of that. But you've got to guide it and create it. And once you have that, it's like a slingshot. You just pull it back and funk. And once you get it and you automate things, it just launches, It's cool. That's right. Hang on. We only got a couple minutes, so we're outside of time. I got to show some stuff. Hang on. I'm going to get your take on this. I'm going to switch gears to Spare, and then if you're okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No. By the way, while you're pulling that up, you're completely right, and I'll be, honest. So we're going through one mind implementation right now. We're actually close to launching it.
Oh, nice.
And we found this was a forcing mechanism. I call it forcing mechanism. We found certain things that hadn't been documented or processes that had gaps in them, et cetera, that we had to shore up before we could actually launch it because I'm not going to just let AI go on its own without the right process, the right data, all this stuff. Right. And so we're very meticulous about how we're implementing it, but we found even gaps that we didn't 100% know were there. But in doing this exercise, it kind of forced us to shore those up first before we launched it. So I think also that's a good kind of, that was a good kind of outcome or output of that exercise too, was because otherwise we probably would have just kept going,
right.
Steady state, because it wasn't messing up anything that we could that was big enough for us to understand. So,
right. Okay, so this is from the Microsoft. If no one's read this is from the Microsoft study they did, looking at different jobs and stuff. Just came out this last week. This has to do with this whole thing, right? So this is identifying the top 40 occupation with highest AI, what they call applicability, which just means replacement. So because you think about translators and interpreters, this should absolutely be replaced by an AI. And this has approximately 51,000 people. Look at this. Sales rep of services, 1 million. Customer service representatives, 2.8 million. Telephone operators, that makes sense. Ticket, whatever, brokerage, broadcast DJs, political scientists, news analysts, proofreaders, makes sense. Editors, business teachers. Look at that. Business teachers, post-secondary. That's fascinating. I didn't see that one. Demonstrate, makes sense. Where's the other big ones? This one's right here. Management analysts, like your Deloitte's and that kind of stuff. Market research analysts, fascinating. And then down here you have the bottom 40, right? Very first ones like phlebotomists, nursing, hazardous waste, embalmers, oral maxillofacial, I can't even say that. Surgeons, ship engineers, that's crazy. I grew up in a tire that says tire repair and changers. That's totally me. So if my job gets taken from AI, I can go back to changing tires, which is great. I mean, look at all this stuff. It's crazy. Right?
So wait. How is AI going to replace? Oh, is this robotics in AI?
No. This is bottom 40 with lowest application score.
Oh, the bottom. Oh, sorry. Okay.
These are safe jobs right now. Now, of course, this could change, but when you think about even like I've seen some really cool things from the medical world about how you use AI and robotics to do some surgery. So I'm curious on this one of why that wouldn't be the case, unless obviously oral and maxillofacial is different. Or like this one, ship engineers. You look at this kind of stuff. This is super fascinating. We see some of the patterns like dishwashers. I don't know why that couldn't be replaced by AI and robotics, but I don't think this, to be fair, I don't think this applied robotics. It was simply AI in the study.
Just AI. That makes sense.
Because
not physical AI,
this right here, in my opinion of changing tires for most of my younghood, there's a lot of this that could be absolutely be automated, it just requires someone to build that crap. So it's just interesting to see that. But
did they in this report? Because I haven't studied it like you, and I think it's fascinating. Did it also was it just showcasing the jobs that were at most risk and least at risk, or did it also showcase any jobs it thought may be created from this? Because I think a lot of times we focus a lot on the things that are going to change, but that's happened with every tech. This is no different than any other. Well, let me finish that because it is a little different, but it's no different than other technology platform ships. It is different in the sense that it's the most powerful one we've ever had, and it can do a lot more than any of the other technology platform ships. But we go through this cycle where jobs are eliminated, but yet jobs are created. And so did it talk about that at all in the report?
Not really. Like, it didn't do the World Economic Forum, how they dived into it. Microsoft didn't do it as much. So you basically said where we are right now and what what does it look like, But at the same time, I've seen a bunch of very interesting jobs lately. I'm going to show you one of them because it's actually pretty fascinating, and you might want to change your jobs if you see this.
All right.
Okay, this is from Outreach. I just saw this pop up the other day, but I want to give the example of people saying like replacing jobs. But this is like the kind of thing that's now
like the sales engagement platform Outreach.
Yeah, that one. Look at this.
Okay.
Head of value and AI strategy, 336 to 507. So not bad paying.
No, I'm applying for that one.
I know, right? CRO, head of AI value. Look at how they describe this. So GTM
wait,
strategy.
it reports to the CRO?
Yeah. Lead and go-to-market planning for Outreach AI features, packaging, messaging, sales plays, partnership enablement team, closely enablement, blah, blah, blah. So like this is all the stuff that you and I literally talk all the time. Like Jim and I could do this without, in our sleep. But the point is looking at this from an angle of the job being created, right? It's another one right here, technical and AI transformation. This is a director of this, so it's a little bit different, but these kind of jobs are absolutely coming or here. They're here, So
that is
crazy.
Fascinating. But also what I just saw though, and I don't know this, but I just saw in that thing around management consulting and things like that. And I wonder, I'll have to read it, but I wonder, like, are those really the best people? In my mind, you want someone with operator experience. So things like you and I are doing, because we know the nuts and bolts of how it works. Whereas a consultant is like, oh, sure, I can put a strategy and a PowerPoint together and things like that. But yeah, it's just like, how do you implement it? That's going to be the hard part. And I think the strategy, just like AI we talked about, and this strategy is only as good as you can implement it. Just like technology, AI technology is super powerful, right. But if you don't implement it in the right places in the right way, it doesn't matter because it's not going to give you the outcome that you're looking for.
Exactly. Look at this though. I know I have to do the math on this list, but this is like 70. There's probably at least 100 million jobs on this. I bet you. But the number one, sales and related application score. This is like on a conglomerate, SOC major groups by applicability score. I can't even say that word. Office support, computer mathematical, business finance ops, which is interesting, educational, architecture, personal life, blah, blah, management is another one, legal, production. Like this is just fascinating to see what they think which is going to be replaced, So
yep, I'm gonna have to go through this now.
Very, very interesting study. All right. Are you okay on time? I know you had to go soon, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to jump, my friend. So, man, it's been an honor, a pleasure. I love doing this.
If you're going to bail. Okay, well, you can bail. I'm going to show off this new thing. You can watch it later. I'm going to show off the new Google review, and we'll go from there. I'll let you see it.
All right, my friend. Yep, can't wait to see it, brother. Cheers.
You're the man. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out for me a second. I want to take a couple more minutes to showcase this because I think it's awesome. So I just got access to Google AI reviews, which, by the way, Google is like pumping out a ton of really, really cool stuff. This is, I took a couple of designed PDFs. So these are designed. I was hoping it was going to mimic my branding and design, but it did not do that, sadly. But anyways, I put in these 2 decks. It took literally 5, maybe 6 hours to create this. But then I don't know if you guys can hear this, but I'll push play. Hopefully you can hear this. If you've ever used Notebook, what it does is it can create what's called an audio overview, where it has a man and a woman voice speaking over whatever topics you might be doing. This is like, there's so many cool things you can do inside of Notebook LM. This is just one of many. But what they have now is they have what's called a video overview, where they have this 7-minute long lecture that has some visuals, where they created some visuals based on the content I gave it. So all of this is created, like this whole thing is all created by AI. This has not come from my deck. You can see like this kind of stuff here of like what the content was about was what kind of time is wasted with sales rep on just tasks they do every single day. So it's taking all this stuff and creating its own designs as a result. So let me see if I can find you a couple of spots you can see some of this. Like, see here, you have like all this stuff is all AI based, which is crazy. So when you think about this from the perspective of like the applications of learning and getting people to understand concepts, having audio and visual is awesome. So anyways, I had to show you this because I think it is amazing. And we're not like it's not as good as I'd like it to be. Like I'd love to see a brand be able to be replicated and be able to create custom learning modules, but being able to do this by itself and be able to download it is just awesome. So anyways, really, really cool. I want to show you that real quick. I know JMO had to go. Sadly, he had to go to another meeting after this, but I just want to say thank you so much for watching AIBusinessNetwork.ai or the GTM AI podcast.com. Either one. Love to see you soon.